Hi and welcome back to my channel. I am Caspian and I read books, and this is my Spookopoly update for this week, probably. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about what I've read and finished, and both within the Spookopoly challenge and then outside of it, because there's one book I've read outside of the Spookopoly challenge. And then I'm gonna talk about what I'm reading right now and what I'm about to read. So let's start with the book that's outside of the Spookopoly challenge. And that is I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. So I first heard about this book when I stumbled up on an interview with Jeanette. I don't remember where, if it was YouTube or Instagram. I don't remember, but it caught my attention and I became more curious. And I have to say, I have not seen her main work as an actress. I haven't. She was in iCarly on Nickelodeon, and then Sam and Cat oppose acting acting together with Ariana Grande. So that was kind of her two main projects that I think she's mentioned in this book, and then she mentions like smaller projects here and there. So this was a really interesting read. If you are familiar with narcissists, if you maybe grown up with a narcissist in your family, close to a narcissist, then there's a lot of things in this book that you will probably recognize and feel like, oh, that could have been this person, so that could have said this or done that. So it's it's hard to talk about it, but I don't really know what to say. I just spoke about it in my Swedish video, but so the first half of the book is really heavy emotionally because it's from her childhood and then till present day, and she starts acting at 6 years old, not because she wants to, but because her mom wants her to, because her mom didn't get to act when she was a kid. So she wants Jeanette to have the life that she didn't get, which is never a good thing to put upon your child, to do what you didn't get to do. That's not how you raise a child. That's not how you raise a child. That is not what is meant with I want my children to have a better life than I did. No. Not by putting them into acting when they're 6 years old and have to learn lines and take dance classes and just don't have a childhood, you know. She didn't have a childhood at all. And so the first half of the book is really dense with emotional abuse, and because she's talking about this well, like from her perspective growing up. So it's it's with the voice of her grown up self that has gone to therapy, but it's before the therapy. So it's some insights that she didn't really have back then. So, and it's an emphasis on how she was treated and who said what and what happened when, in a way that really makes your skin crawl when she's living through some stuff, mostly with her mom. That just makes you think, oh, Jeanette, no, that's oh, I'm so sad you have to had to live through it. So I cried with her. There's not much room for laughter in this book because it's a horrible upbringing that she's been through. So the second half of the book, that's when we start to get more closely to the present day. She's grown up a bit. She's trying to rediscover herself. She gets away from her mom with different projects, and she has to live her life as an adult, but with no skills whatsoever because her mom kind of groomed her into being dependent on her in a really not good way. I don't know if there is a good way to be dependent on your parent when you're an adult, but you know, it's like it was intentional, and it was from the point of view where or from the perspective of her mom having like almost separation anxiety and seeing Jeanette as a part of herself and treating her as not an individual, but hers, you know. So it's really interesting in that aspect. And then the part about like the aspect of the book where how she lives through her formative years as a child actor, and the I would say ups and downs. I want to say ups and downs, but they mostly no ups with that, because she didn't want to. It wasn't her dream. It was her mom's dream, and it's really evident in this book how she really um she really put 100% into making her mom happy, and she never got to have fun. She never got to have fun, like ever. And when she was having fun, she felt guilty for having fun when her mom wasn't there and something like that. And if she had fun, she had to look at her mom to see, is it okay if I have fun? So it's horrible. It's horrible, but it's an interesting read, and I recommend it. So, and the language in it is very comprehensible. It's easy to read. Yeah, even as a non-English native speaker, it's easy to understand. So this book is written in English by an English author. So I chose to read it in English because if that's the original language or the native language of the person that wrote it, then that's what I want to read. So if it's possible for me to do so. So when I went to pick this up when I found it at the library, there were both the Swedish version and the English version next to each other, and I chose the English version because that's her words, you know. So without the filter of it being translated. So really, that's why I picked it. And it was, I don't want to say it was enjoyable. It was interesting. That's more like it. It was interesting, and I recommend it. And it says here an important cultural document, says Lena Dunham, and I agree. I agree. An important cultural document from two perspectives. One perspective is the perspective of a child actor, a child star, and what she went through as such. And then the other important aspect of it that makes it important is the aspect of growing up with this type of dynamic and this type of codependency with her mom, because that's not unusual in this day and age. So I'm kind of the same generation as Jenny McCurdy, and it's common. It's common for the generation above us to have certain problems, and to treat their children in a certain way, and God knows why. but it's really common, and it's interesting to read different perspectives, and this perspective from a child star perspective I think is even more common. It's I don't think it's rare that children in the acting industry are actors because their parents wanted them to be actors, and they didn't really want to be there, and they lost their childhood because of it. So it is really important. So yeah, that's the book I read outside of the Spookopoly. Just because I stumbled upon it at the library. I had been meaning to read it at some point, but I just stumbled upon it now. And then for my black cover prompt, I chose this one. So this is in Swedish, of course, but it's Marked is the English title, and it's the first part of the House of Night series. So the thing with this book is I had a memory of a series that I started and then couldn't finish because I think it was because the books hadn't come out yet. I had borrowed them from the library at the time several years back, and I had reached the last book that was published and available at the library, and I had to pause reading the series. And the memory of the series was a group of teenagers in some kind of magical school, representing the elements and having rituals and making magic with their connection to the elements, right? That's kind of what I remember. I have been looking for that series since then because I forgot what name it was, what it was called, and I just couldn't find it again. And then, present day, this summer I went to my local secondhand store and I found this book and I read on the back. I was like, oh, this sounds really interesting. So, and it's a series, wonderful. There's a lot of books for me to read, and at the secondhand store they had like 4 books. I think I have 3 more. So I think I had this the first, the second, the third, and the fifth. So I was like, well, I can find the other ones cheap somewhere, you know. It's got some years on it, and you know, like that. So, and then I started reading it for this prompt, and I was like, like 20 pages in, I was like, I recognize this. Have I read this before? I've read this before. And then, like 50 pages in, I was like, oh, this is the series that I've been looking for forever and to continue reading. And I just had completely forgotten that they were vampires. I had completely forgotten that they were vampires. Seriously. I remember the magic, I remember the school, I remember the protagonist and the antagonist and their equalities and their magical, what's the word? I don't know, but what they could do magically, and I completely forgot they were vampires. So, what do I think about this book now? I gave it a 3-star. Okay, 3-star rating because I remember why I liked it. I still like those parts of it, but I'm older now, and this is the type of YA book that doesn't really sit well with me anymore because I've outgrown like the dynamic between the friends in this, and there's so often I'm like, teenagers just don't, you know, and it's just so much YA. It's just so much YA. What I do like about it is that so far in this first book, anyway, the romantic relationships that are formed are between peers. So there's so far no like 300-year-old vampire out to be together with a 16 or 18-year-old teenager. Nothing like that so far, and I do like that. And the smut scenes that are in this are not that big of a deal. It's not too much. It's okay. It's fine. It's even educational moments here and there from that perspective, and it's a book of its time. There is some homophobia, and yeah, it's a book of its time. It's not overbearing in any way, shape, or form in those aspects, but it's a book of its time, you know. So it's a far cry from modern books, more modern books where there's better representation and like better atmosphere between people of all sorts of sexual orientation and races and that sort of thing. So this is, and I do like this part of the cover, but I don't like her because the main character Zoe doesn't look like this. The main character is Cherokee. The main character is part Cherokee, and from the description, she has like a bit of a darker skin, like an olive skin. Not this, not whatever this is. She doesn't look like this. She doesn't. She has a completely different face. Is that described in this book? So I don't like the cover. But yeah, so this is the first one marked, and I gave it 3 stars. We'll see when I get to the next one if I do. I want to read them simply because I bought them now, even if it was very, very cheap. I feel like, but I've got them now. Do really not read them? But we'll see. We'll see if I get to them, because I don't know if I want to read so many books to get to where I left off. We'll see. So what I'm reading right now is a book from my. It was a chance card with the titles from my own little library, my own shelves, and it was a book that I really wanted to read at this moment. So there was a lot of different titles in those on those cards, and I pulled the next one in the Bridgerton series. And I did that like 2 days ago, and I'm halfway through. So, and I'm annotating it as well. So I'm annotating it. Can I please have a page where I've annotated? Yes, so I'm annotating a little bit, underscoring mostly, and I do have like a zebra mild liner to emphasize some words, but mostly I'm just underscoring more than highlighting. So this is the fourth book in this series, and I haven't watched the Netflix series because I want to read all the books first. So we'll see if I have time to do that before the Netflix series is like removed from Netflix. I don't know how long it's been up, and I don't know how long I have to finish these books because I want to take my time. I want to annotate them. I'm really enjoying them. I really enjoy historical novels, fiction, historical fiction like this. I really enjoy historical romance, and yeah, it's yeah, I like it. So I'm not gonna talk too much about it because I'm just halfway through, so I haven't ranked it. But I've ranked the previous ones like 5 and 4.5 stars already, like the first, the second, and the third. I don't know what the name of this is in English. It's the fourth one. In Swedish, the name translates into an unavoidable longing. And it's centered around Penelope Featherington and Colin Bridgerton. So yeah, that's where I'm at with this one. And then the most recent, so I made a mistake, right? On my most recent role, I filmed it in a way that I can't really put it up on my channel right away. So I don't know when I'm gonna get to that. It was a midnight roll. I was up all night almost this past weekend. So it's Monday today. And on Saturday, I was up all night. Almost all night. So in the middle of the night, like a quarter past midnight, I set up my camera and I wanted to roll my next roll and choose my next book, which I haven't started reading yet, ironically. But then I realized I had, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to share that roll with you, but I did get cauldron. So cauldron on the Spookopoly board is to gather my ingredients. That is to find a book with two or more of my favorite tropes. And I didn't really have that many books at home that I knew contained tropes that I love. So I went with this one because this is a book I want to read. It's a small book. It's recently published, and it's my most. It's one of my. It's one. It is my most. One of my most anticipated reads. New releases this year, and it's Six Scorched Roses by Carissa Broadbent. It's I think it's called like it's a Crowns of Nyaxia novella. So it's called like Crowns of Nyaxia 1.5 or something like that. So it has so I kind of made this fit my prompt, right? So it has vampires, I think. Does it? Yes. It has vampires. It has gods, and then it has like a heroine. Yeah. So I do talk a little bit more about why I picked this in the video with the roll. So if I put that up, you will see that. So for now, you're just gonna have to know that this is my next read. So when I have finished, because I'm also currently outside of the Spookopoly reading the Sunbury Files, because I had it on reserve on the at the library, and then I got the hold of it. I got a text and I had to go get it, and I wanted to read it. So I'm halfway through the Sunbury Files. When I have finished this one, I think I will start this one, or maybe when I finish this one, which will probably be before, because in the evenings when I get a bit tired and I do a lot of reading in the evenings, I prefer to read books in Swedish. So that's why I think I will read through this more quickly than this one. And I'm enjoying this really much, a lot, really much, a lot. So I don't know when I'm gonna finish it because I kind of want it to last. So we'll see when I get to this one. But this is my last. This is my last roll of the official Spookopoly month, October, but I will keep using the board throughout November, because in November I will combine the Spookopoly board with my blind dates with books that I'm going to talk about in an announcement, probably in a day or two. I think that video goes up. So yeah, so that's what's happening right now. That's what's happening right now. Have you read this? What did you think? Was it good? Was it worth it? Was it yeah, did you like it? So yeah, have a lovely reading time this week, and I will see you soon. Walking Beauty and Tjingeling.